You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Tuesday, the 18th of November. Jaishankar calls for stronger trade ties, tough stance against terrorism at SCO. Pak Army Chief claims fake victory adds religious spin to tensions with India. And UN opposes death penalty for Hasina but pushes for justice in Bangladesh. And now for all the details. India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar on Tuesday addressed the SCO Council of Heads of Government held in Moscow, calling for stronger economic cooperation, cultural exchanges, and firm action against terrorism at a time of global volatility. At the plenary held under Russia's presidency, Jaishankar noted that the global economic environment remains uncertain and volatile, with supply-side disruptions now worsened by demand-side pressures. He stressed the urgent need for countries to de-risk and diversify by building fair, transparent, and equitable partnerships, a strategy reflected in India's ongoing free trade negotiations with several SCO members. Earlier on Monday, Jaishankar also met his Russian counterpart, noting that India-Russia ties have long been a stabilizing factor in global affairs. The two leaders discussed key bilateral initiatives and exchanged views on the current geopolitical landscape ahead of President Vladimir Putin's expected visit to India next month.
It is imperative that the world display zero tolerance towards terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. There can be no justification, no looking away, and no whitewashing. As India has demonstrated, we have the right to defend our people against terrorism and will exercise it. In conclusion, India believes that SCO must adapt to the changing global landscape, develop an expanded agenda, and reform its working methods. We will contribute positively and fully to these objectives.
Moving on, Indian investigation agencies raided at least 25 locations linked to the accused of the deadly car blast in New Delhi on Tuesday. The explosion near the historic Red Fort killed at least 12 people and injured 20. Heavy security was seen deployed outside the residence of the brother of Jawad Ahmad Siddiqui, founder and director of the Al Falah Charitable Trust. Key suspects, including the driver of the car, Umar Nabi, were employed at the Al Falah University based in Faridabad city. Last week, the Indian government said it was treating the car blast as a terror incident and vowed to bring the perpetrators to justice as swiftly as possible. Pakistan Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir has again used religious language while referring to India's Operation Sindoor. According to Dawn News, Munir said, during the war with India, Allah helped us raise our heads high. When a Muslim puts their trust in Allah, he turns the dirt thrown at the enemy into missiles. He made the remarks during a luncheon hosted for Jordan's King Abdullah II, who is on a two-day visit to Islamabad. Meanwhile, India's former Foreign Secretary Kanwal Sibbal in a post on X noted that Asim Munir repeatedly speaks of the conflict with India in religious terms, which implies a jihad against India without invoking the term. He added that constitutional amendments in Pakistan have further strengthened the army chief's authority. Calling the situation dangerous, Sibbal said, a military chief with a jihadi mindset and armed with political power is a dangerous mix. The dump truck risks veering off the road is an attempt to hit the Mercedes. On Monday, India's Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi described India's counter-terror Operation Sindoor as just a trailer, emphasizing the readiness of armed forces for any future contingencies. Moving on, political activist Amjad Ayub Mirza has called the appointment of Faisal Mumtaz Rathod as POJK Prime Minister a scam, accusing him of past criminal links and questioning the legitimacy of entire process. We have a report.
Political activist Amjad Ayub Mirza has slammed the appointment of Faisal Mumtaz Rathod as the new Prime Minister of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, calling it a scam, and proof of a collapsed political process. He alleged Rathore was linked to a 2013 gang rape case in Muzaffarabad, claiming the case was buried and evidence disappeared. Mirza also questioned the legitimacy of Rathore's election, alleging that refugee seat holders were improperly allowed to vote despite clear objections by the Joint Awami Action Committee.
खुद जो है रेप केस में इनका स्कैंडल है 2013 में अपने दोस्तों के साथ, जिसमें उस वक्त के जो प्रेसिडेंट थे पीओजेके के उनका बेटा भी शामिल था। इन्होंने पीसी मुजफ्फराबाद में एक एमए की स्टूडेंट को बहाने से बुलाया, जॉब देने के बहाने से, कि आपका इंटरव्यू है पीसी में, इसमें बैंकिंग की नौकरी में, तो आप आए। वो जब आई तो उन्होंने उसको अंदर बंद कर लिया। 4 आदमियों ने उसका सारी रात गैंग रेप किया। उसकी हालत नाजुक हो गई तो इन्होंने उसको एक किस्म का मुर्दा समझ के तो फेंक ही दिया था। फिर वो ये बताया जाता है कि अपने घर पहुंची, उसने जाके घर वालों को बताया कि मेरे साथ ये हुआ, तो घर वाले डर गए। उन्होंने रात को अपनी बेटी को जहर दे के मार दिया। ठीक है ना। तो ये वहां से केस फिर आगे नहीं चला, लेकिन ये मौजूद है सोशल मीडिया पे, ये सारी चीजें मौजूद हैं, उस वक्त के अखबारात में भी मौजूद हैं। तो एक ऐसे शख्स को जो इस, चाहे उन्होंने जना किया या नहीं किया, लेकिन उनके ऊपर स्कैंडल है और केस था जो जिसको वो क्लियर नहीं हुए वहां से, या तो अपनी क्लैरिफिकेशन दें। तो सबसे बड़ा सवाल तो ये उठेगा उनके ऊपर कि एक जानी जो है, एक रेपिस्ट पाकिस्तानी ऑक्युपाइड जम्मू कश्मीर का प्राइम मिनिस्टर बना दिया सिर्फ इसलिए कि उसके बिलावल भुट्टो से और उसकी जो फुफ्फी हैं।
Mirza further alleged Rathore's priorities lie in serving Pakistan's political and military establishment rather than the people of PJK. He said public frustration is growing over an administrative-style system where leaders are installed without public participation. He also cautioned that infiltration attempts across the lock may increase under the new setup, warning of political and social instability ahead.
ऑपोजिशन खोलेगी, लोग खोलेंगे, अवामी एक्शन कमेटी वाले खोलेंगे, स्टूडेंट्स खोलेंगे और उसको हाईलाइट किया जाएगा। और दूसरा जो है वो पाकिस्तान के तरफ जो भी ये कदम उठाने की कोशिश करेंगे पाकिस्तान के साथ रिश्ता मजबूत करने के लिए, वो बैकफायर करेगा। पीओजेके के नौजवान जो है वो नहीं रहना चाहते पाकिस्तान के साथ, वो किसी के साथ भी नहीं रहना चाहते, वो फुल बागी हैं।
The UN on Monday described the sentencing of ousted Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina for crimes against humanity as an important moment for victims, but stressed that she should not have been sentenced to death. Sheikh Hasina said the judgment holds no value, no legitimacy, and no acceptance among the people. Sajib Wazid, her son and advisor, strongly condemned the tribunal's ruling. Completely illegal, sham trials, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina not allowed to send defense lawyers, he wrote on X. Meanwhile, Bangladesh Interim Prime Minister Mohammad Yunus has hailed the death penalty and said the ruling affirms the fundamental principle that no one is above the law. Yunus-led Bangladesh government on Monday demanded that India should hand over the former PM following her death sentence verdict, citing the country's extradition treaty. India, however, has signaled that it is carefully reviewing the matter within the framework of domestic law and treaty obligations. The UN Rights Office released a report in February earlier this year, finding Bangladesh's former government responsible for systematic attacks and killings of protesters. On Monday, the International Crimes Tribunal ordered death penalty to Hasina and 2 senior aides of committing crimes against humanity. Hasina's Awami League ruled Bangladesh for more than 15 years until August last year, when the massive student protests forced her to resign. She fled across the border to India, where she remains in exile. At the special request of the royal government of Bhutan, the sacred exhibition of the holy relics of Lord Buddha from India in Thimphu has been extended by 1 week. The exposition, which has already attracted thousands of pilgrims from across the country, will now remain open until 25th of November 2025, allowing more devotees to pay their respects. To facilitate the return of the holy relics, a special aircraft will depart for Bhutan on 24th of November. The sacred relics will be brought back to India on the following day. India's Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Minority Affairs, Kiran Rijiju, will lead the delegation for the closing ceremony. The sacred relics of Lord Buddha enshrined at the National Museum in New Delhi were taken to Bhutan for 11-day public exposition. The Ministry of Culture said that the exposition is part of the Global Peace Prayer Festival in Thimphu. The exposition has been a landmark event in India-Bhutan relations, celebrating a common Buddhist heritage and reinforcing the special bonds of trust and cooperation. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.